Tokyo Station is the most important station among 10,000 railway stations in Japan. It is the standard station for the direction of trains. Among JR trains in Japan, trains that head for Tokyo Station are called ups. Trains going away from Tokyo Station are called downs. All train lines start from this station. Many 0-kilometer posts are installed here and there. Among the modern skyscrapers, a magnificent building completed in Taisho area suddenly appears. Osaka Castle is also attractive timeless building that suddenly appears among the skyscrapers. In the same way, Tokyo Station is attractive timeless building. The address is 1丁目 Marunouchi Chiyodaku, Tokyo. The road that extends straight from the front of the Marunouchi exit is Miyuki Street, which leads directly to the Imperial Palace. Houses of Parliament, the Prime Minister's residence, the Supreme Court, and Kasumigaseki government offices are located around the Imperial Palace. This area is the center of Japan. Marunouchi Station Building was designed by Tatsuno Kingo, and it was completed in 1914. It is a majestic red brick building, 330 meters long. In the corner of the square in front of the station stands the statue of Inoue Masaru, who is said the father of Japan Railways. This building and Mojiko Station Building are the only two station buildings that are still in use, designated as an important cultural property of Japan. There is a special entrance dedicated to the imperial family at the center of the building. It has a slope with dignity. Inside the building, there are VIP rooms such as the room of pine, the room of bamboo, the room of plum, and the room of deer. They are connected to the concourse by a special passageway. The station master welcomes guests and guides them. Where the VIP rooms are located and what kind of rooms they are is a confidential matter. Only a small number of JR officials can enter them. There is a slightly smaller entrance near the center entrance. The general people use this. Even so, it has a deluxe atmosphere. Inside the station building, the Tokyo Station Hotel operates, and it has elegant guest rooms, lounge, and bar. They are classic and luxurious. I wish to stay once in my life. The ambassadors stationed in Japan travel from Tokyo Station to the Imperial Palace by horse-drawn carriage at a ceremony to present the credentials. On this occasion, it is customary for the ambassadors to wait for the carriage in the VIP room and to be treated to Japanese tea by the staff of the Tokyo Station Hotel. There are the entrances with dome-shaped roofs on the north side and the south side. Until World War II, the south side was the boarding gate and the north side was the arriving gate. The inside of the massive octagonal building is an open atrium. It's like being inside an old European church. The Marunouchi Station Building is to be drawn on the back of the 10,000 yen banknote, which is scheduled to be renewed in 2024. It is the first time that the railway station has been designed on the banknote. On this YouTube channel, I take the style of talking about the history of the station and its surroundings while showing the video of the station itself, and I will do so this time. But Tokyo is the capital of Japan. No one knows about it. It is the center of politics, economy, and culture in Japan. It has a population of 13 million people, and it is one of the world's largest megacities. Between Kanagawa, Chiba, Saitama, and Ibaraki, Tokyo's urban boundaries are disappearing. They form a huge socio-economically integrated metropolitan area. The population of this Great Tokyo area is 37 million, which is larger than Jakarta's 24 million, which is the second largest in the world. 1 in 4 people living in Japan lives in this Great Tokyo area. Although such a prosperous city, the ancient Kanto Plain, including Tokyo, was a remote place that rarely appeared on the stage of history. I think many people have the impression that it finally appeared in history textbooks after Tairano Masakado's rebellion in 939. After the Yamato imperial court came under control, this region came to be called Musashino Province. In the latter half of the Heian period, a samurai group rose to prominence in this area, and they were called Bando Musha by people of Kyoto. By the way, this has nothing to do with Bado Eiji. In the 12th century, the Edo clan, a local ruling family based in Toshima Ward, appeared. After that, this area came to be called Edo. During the Sengoku period, the Ota clan rose to prominence, and Ota Dokan built Edo Castle in 1457. Later, the Hojo clan, based in Odawara, advanced into the Kanto region, and Musashi became their dominion. The Hojo clan was destroyed by Toyotomi Hideyoshi in 1590. This is the Yaesu exit on the east side of the station. Compared to the Marunouchi exit, this one has a much more radical atmosphere. A large roof made of Teflon has been built in 2013. It protects the station from rain and wind, and it gives a soft impression overall. Previously, a huge Tetsudo Kaikan building was built here, but it has become like a giant wall that blocks the wind from the sea. Due to the development, the building was rebuilt with twin towers on both ends, and the wind from the sea started to flow between them into the Marunouchi direction. As a result, the wind speed was 1.3 times higher than before, and temperature dropped by 1 to 2 degrees. It contributes to heat island countermeasures. This is the Nihonbashi exit on the north side of the station. Nihonbashi Bridge is 500 meters east from here. The bridge was built and named by Tokugawa Ieyasu. It became the starting point of the 5 highways that stretched across the country, and people and goods began to spread. It had long been a hub for transportation. Nihonbashi is still important today. It is the starting point of a few of important national highways. After the destruction of the Hojo clan, Tokugawa Ieyasu entered Edo Castle. At that time, Edo was a desolate land with thickets and wetlands. Ieyasu established the shogunate in 1603, and the Edo period began. It is said that the people, including Ieyasu, who took part in the battle to attack Odawara, were astonished by Odawara Castle's grand overall structure and skillful water supply technology. Ieyasu rebuilt Edo Castle on a larger scale, referring to Odawara Castle. He made a huge outer moat and inner moat. In addition, he put the water supply from Tama River. He also changed the flow of the Tonai River so that it began to flow toward the Pacific Ocean instead of Edo Bay. The infrastructure developed at that time has basically been inherited to the present day of Tokyo. It is said that the reason why the city of Tokyo has developed well is that Ieyasu's basic concept was excellent. He had an insight into topography gained from his many years of experiences as a military commander. In addition, the civil engineering technology of that time, which had reached its peak by repeatedly building castles, was fully demonstrated. Rather than Ieyasu, it can be said that the Japanese who sacrificed their lives during the Sengoku period built the foundation of today's Tokyo. Of course, Ieyasu was great too. Especially those who live in Kansai tend to favor Hideyoshi and Yukimura. I didn't like Ieyasu either at first, but the more I learned about history, the more I started to think of Ieyasu as great. It's a little frustrating, but I can't deny it. In Edo, a unique culture called Kasei culture developed. By the 18th century, the city had grown into a metropolis with a population of over 1 million. However, the Edo shogunate was unable to cope with the political situation since Perry's arrival in 1853, and in 1867, the 15th shogun, Yoshinobu, returned the political power to the emperor. The Edo shogunate collapsed. In 1868, Edo came under the control of the new Meiji government and changed its name to Tokyo. The name Tokyo was proposed by Okubo Toshimichi. It is said that Okubo was influenced by the idea that Edo should be East Kyoto and Osaka should be West Kyoto in the book of Sato Nobuhiro, a philosopher of the Edo period. Okubo initially thought that Osaka should be the capital, but he changed his mind after reading a written opinion thrown into the garden of his house. He seems to be quite flexible. By the way, there is a bronze statue of Jan Justen in the Yaesu underground shopping mall. You might say what the relationship is, but actually the name Yaesu was born from the Dutchman's name. In 16,000, Jan Justen was shipwrecked on the sailing ship Rifle and drifted ashore in present-day Oita Prefecture. He stayed in Japan and became Tokugawa Ieyasu's diplomatic advisor and was given a mansion. The area around the mansion was named Yaesugashi after his name, and eventually the area came to be called Yaesu. I've been inside the station before I knew it, so I'd like to talk about the outline of the station. Outside the ticket gate, there is a passage on the first floor that connects to the Marunouchi side and the Yaesu side. They have Tokyo Ramen Street and Tokyo Character Street. Inside the ticket gate, There are three large passages that connect to east and west side. Here are very spacious and there are plenty of facilities inside the station. It feels like an underground shopping mall in a very crowded big city. And I can't believe that here is inside the ticket gate. Tokaido Shinkansen is under the jurisdiction of JR Tokai, and all other Shinkansen and conventional lines are under the jurisdiction of JR East. So this station has two station masters of JR East and of JR Tokai. This station is the largest hub in the nationwide Shinkansen network and has been connected to 33 prefectures with a transfer. It serves as the starting point of Tokaido Shinkansen, directly connecting to Sanyo Shinkansen, Tohoku Shinkansen, branching Yamagata Shinkansen, and Akita Shinkansen, directly connecting to Hokkaido Shinkansen, Joetsu Shinkansen, and Hokuriku Shinkansen. The only Shinkansen that doesn't run into Tokyo Station is Kyushu Shinkansen. There are 14 platforms in all, which is the largest number in Japan. Conventional lines have 5 platforms above ground and 4 platforms underground. Shinkansen lines have 5 platforms above ground. The number of passengers per day is 780,000. It's amazing. Now let's watch the Chuo line on platform 1 and 2 first. It runs from here to Nagoya via Shiojiri in Nagano Prefecture. The platform here is set up on a very high place and the view from here is very nice. You can see the upper part of the Marunouchi building. Why is it so high? Okay, let me explain later. The story goes back to the beginning of the Meiji era. Tokyo Station started with the concept of connecting two terminal stations, Shimbashi and Ueno, and setting up a central station between them. In 1872, Japan's first railway opened between Shimbashi and Yokohama. After that, the government planned to connect Tokyo and Kansai. However, the problem was whether to go via Tokaido or Nakasendo. Tokaido is a route along the Pacific Ocean. Nakasendo is a route through inland mountains. The government thought that Nakasendo was good for the purpose of promoting the development of the inland. The military departure also supported inland routes that were less vulnerable to attack by enemy warships. So it was decided to go via Nakasendo once. But actually it was found to be very difficult to construct with the technology available at that time. So it was decided to build it via Tokaido. In 1889, the Tokaido line between Shimbashi and Kobe was completed. On the other hand, in Ueno, Nippon Railway, Japan's first private railway company, opened in 1883. Ueno was the gateway to the north side of Tokyo, which extends to the northern Kanto and Tohoku area. As a side note, Nippon Railway extended the line to Aomori in 1891. The two major terminals, Shimbashi and Ueno, were connected on foot or by rikisha. In 1882, the operation of the horse-drawn tramway began. It was so lively that 70 horse-drawn carriages departed every hour. Later, It was replaced by trams, but they were unable to meet the growing demand of passengers. So plans for a railway line connecting Shimbashi and Ueno were born naturally. The Sobe Line underground platform was built in 1972. It is located directly below the plaza in front of Marunouchi Station building and it is equivalent to the fifth basement floor. There is a considerable difference in elevation from Chuo Line platform to Sobe Line platform. The Sobe Line runs from here to Choshi in Chiba Prefecture. This platform has a problem of rising groundwater. It is close to the sea and the groundwater has reached third underground, so the platform is exposed to the problem of floating. The ground level above the platform is an open space, so there is no weight of the building. As a countermeasure against the problem of rising groundwater, iron weights have been placed on the platform and anchors have been driven in it. Recently, a 12-kilometer long transmission pipe is laid down to the Taichi River in Shinagawa Ward, and through this, the groundwater is discharged. That's right. The highlight of the Sobe Line is Narita Express that runs to Narita Airport at 130 kilometers per hour. I'm back on the ground. There are a lot of platforms and there are various route names and destinations, so beginners are simply overwhelmed. Dai Tokai, it means the big city of Crystal King, loops endlessly in my mind. But if you come down and take a closer look, the car bodies and platform pillars, elevators are painted according to route, so you can see which platform you should stand on and which train you should take. Tohoku Line is sky blue, Yamanote Line is yellow-green, Tokaido Line is orange. It's so kind, isn't it? Marunouchi, where the central station was planned, was an important area surrounded by the inner moat and outer moat of Edo Castle. However, in the Meiji era, the big mansions of daimyos or feudal lords were demolished, so at that time there was a large field with a military parade ground and a prison. It was an atmosphere like the suburbs of Tokyo. Since the end of the Seinan War, the last civil war of Japan, the need for the Meiji government to provide security in front of the imperial palace has diminished, so it was decided to move the parade ground to the suburbs and use the land for constructing Central Station. At that time, most of the stations in major cities in Europe had terminals, like Aomori Station. However, this railway method had the problems such as the trains were complicated by turning back and track capacity is limited. Only Berlin, the capital of the German Empire, solved this problem by combining an elevated line and loop line that penetrated the city area. So it was decided that Berlin would be the model for Tokyo Railways. Around this time, German Hermann Rumschutter had been staying in Japan as a technical leader of Kyushu Railway. I saw his memorial relief at Hakata Station. He was a man who worked at the construction of the Prussian State Railway's Berlin Street Line, and he was a perfect person for Japan at that time to ask for guidance. The design plan created by Rumschutter was to build an elevated line by connecting brick arch bridges from Hamamatsucho to Ueno and constructing a loop line that would go around the city of Tokyo, later the Yamanote line. Later, the lines that followed this design proposal were constructed. Rumschutter returned home after completing his term. In exchange, Franz Balzer was newly invited from Germany. Under Balzer's guidance, the location and the size of the station were determined. Next, Kingo Tatsuno, an authority of the architectural industry at that time, appeared. Balzer was thinking of Japanese-style station building, but Tatsuno rejected it. However, Balzer's proposal was basically adapted, such as placing the entrance for the imperial family at the center. The construction was interrupted one after another due to North China Incident and the Russo-Japanese War, but Tokyo Station was finally completed on December 15, 1914. There was also a strong argument that the station name should be Central Station. 2 weeks before the opening, it was finally announced by the president of the railway agency that the station would be formally called Tokyo Station. I think it's good to call it Tokyo Station. I head to the platform of the Keio line, the last conventional line. I didn't know much about Tokyo yet, so I thought the Keio line was a private railway like the Keio line. But I found out that it was also part of Tokyo Station, so I tried to go there, but it was very far and very deep. There are 3 moving walkways to get there. The lighting of the concourse, the installation on the platform, and the color of the trains are all red, reflecting the line color. The Keio line was originally planned as a freight line heading for Chiba along the Tokyo Bay coast. However, due to the oil crisis, cargo demand decreased and Tokyo Disneyland was opened. So it was diverted to passenger line, and in 1990, the underground space Narita Shinkansen had been planned was diverted and opened. The depth of the platform is minus 29 meters above sea level. The reason why it is so deep is that at that time of construction, the Metropolitan Express Route 4, Marunouchi Subway Line, Ginza Line, Toei Asakusa Line, and Yokosuka Line already passed through the underground space, so it was necessary to make it deeper than those. Next, let's head for the Shinkansen. Now we start from the Tokaido Shinkansen platform closest to Yaesu exit. By the way, on December 18, 1914, an opening ceremony was held with invited guests. Prime Minister Okuma Shigenobu gave a congratulatory address. Speaking of 1914, the year of the outbreak of World War I, Japan entered the war and had just won the German army at the Battle of Tsingtao. Lieutenant General Kamio Mitsuomi, who had just commanded the battle, was supposed to make a victory return and visit the Imperial Palace, and he was to arrive at Tokyo Station in time for the opening ceremony. The Lieutenant General had left Osaka on the train the previous evening, so the National Railway Agency asked him to get off at Shinagawa Station and transfer to the latest train. Lieutenant General Kamio arrived at Tokyo Station at 10:30 as scheduled and was welcomed by the people there. So the arrangement went well and the surprise was a success. It's been good up to this, but then failed. As the centerpiece of the opening ceremony, they planned a test ride event for guests to ride the latest Keihin Line train to Yokohama, but this caused a great deal of confusion. The new train had not been sufficiently tested, and the heavy train were running on new tracks that had not been tamped enough. The tracks sank and the pantographs and overhead lines no longer fit, so the train carrying the guests got stuck here and there. It was supposed to take 40 minutes to get to Yokohama, but as a result, it took more than 2 hours. The National Railway Agency put out an apology ad in the next morning paper. Isn't it a car stop? It is the true terminus of the Tokaido Shinkansen. Or is this a starting point? Either way. The car stop on the other side is in Kagoshima Chuo Station, 1,325 kilometers away. From December 20th, Tokyo Station began general operations. The station staffs at the time of opening were mainly station workers who worked at the former Shimbashi Station, which changed to a freight station at the same time. This is a vending machine of super hard ice cream. The former Shimbashi Station closed with the train departing at 0:23 a.m. on December 20th, and all staff, including off-duty station staffs, loaded equipment onto a special train, moved to Tokyo Station, and started to work on the first train from Tokyo Station at 5:20 a.m. Coincidentally, the name of both the station staff who sold the first tickets issued by Tokyo Station and the passenger who bought it wore the same name, Kawabata. This is a nice trivia, isn't it? I'd like to talk about it to Mr. Kawabata next time. At the time of opening, the average number of passengers per day was about 9,500. They are Shinkansen cleaners, praised by the world for completing a perfect job in 7 minutes per car. They are pride of Japan. The uniform is cool. The Tokaido Shinkansen's pink uniform is cute too. When the station opened, there were no office buildings in Marunouchi area. It seems that there was a magnificent station building alone in the wilderness. At night, the surroundings were totally black, and after the last train left, it was so quiet that it felt almost disgusting. Chuo Line entered into Tokyo Station in 1919, and Tohoku Line entered in 1925, and Yamanote Loop Line also started running. The convenience due to these were very remarkable, and the number of passengers increased dramatically. The station quickly became cramped. In addition, there was no entrance on the Yaesu side, which was close to downtown area at the time. This was unpopular with the people. From this time on, the history of Tokyo Station's constant expansion and renovation began. It is easy to understand if you look at it based on the platform. Initially, there were only 4 platforms. The first and second platform were for electric trains, and the third and fourth platforms were for steam locomotives. At the design, they intended to set up a freight facilities on the Yaesu side and a dock for ships to the east of it. Transportation at that time was a combination of rail and ship transportation. Osaka Station also had a canal built next to the station at first. In the end, Tokyo Station no longer handled freight, and the area was changed to a depot, but this area was to be very useful for expanding the station. Next, let's go to the Tohoku and Hokuriku Shinkansen. Perhaps because it's new, this has a more moody and thick atmosphere than Tokaido Shinkansen side. They operate more than 300 trains per day bound for Kanazawa, Niigata, Tohoku on 2 platforms and 4 tracks. Since its opening, the number of trains arriving at and departing from Tokyo Station has steadily increased, and the number of passengers has increased 12-fold in the 20 years since its opening. In response to this, the Yaesu exit was first constructed in 1929. It was a temporary entrance that used long wooden crossover to cross the railroad tracks of the depot. Tohoku Hokuriku Shinkansen and Tokaido Shinkansen are only separated by such a small fence. If there's a crossing line here, they'll be connected. It'll be amazing. Wow, they are connected. For the first time in my life, with the naked eyes, I saw the connections between E5 and E6 series. Next, it was planned to relocate the depot to the suburbs and add 3 platforms to the former site, making a total of 7 platforms. However, due to the international situation and the Sino-Japanese War, the plan did not go smoothly. Tokyo Station has been the stage for assassinations of the prime ministers twice. In 1921, Hara Takashi, prime minister at the time, was assassinated by a man who worked at the Otsuka Station with a knife when Hara was heading to the boarding gate. The other one was in 1930, when Prime Minister Hamaguchi Osachi was shot with a pistol as he was walking near number 4 platform, now number 10th platform, car number 8. And he died the following year from the wounds he suffered at that time. In both incidents, plates and marks were driven into the location of the assassination site or directly below it. There are other events that occurred at Tokyo Station before the war. In 1935 and 1940, Emperor Puri of Manchukuo visited Japan and was welcomed by Emperor Showa. By the way, the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923 caused almost no damage to this station. But it was severely damaged by the air raid at the end of the Pacific War. On May 25, 1945, incendiary bombs landed on the Marunouchi Station building during a midnight air raid, causing it to burst into flames and almost burn down. However, trains resumed operation on the 27th. Tickets were sold in barracks and the station building had no roof, so on rainy days, people waited for trains with umbrella open. The number of passengers at Tokyo Station continued to increase, reaching 826,000 in 1965. In 1964, the Tokaido Shinkansen opened on platform number 8 and number 9, which was newly constructed over a moat filled with war debris. In 1991, Tohoku Shinkansen began using platform 6. However, when the construction of the Hokuriku Shinkansen was decided, there was no more room for Tokyo Station platforms, land, or underground space. While JR turned their eyes to the sky, the problem was solved by constructing a new 01 platform 9 meters higher than the first platform and transferring the Chuo line to the 01 platform. Platform 5 began to be used for the Hokuriku Shinkansen. And come here to the present. It's already night. The station is beautifully lit up. It's perfect for a night walk for tourists. Travelers to Tokyo by night train, people who rode the Shinkansen for the first time, construction workers who are involved in construction, renovation, and restoration work using first-class technology, and Shinkansen cleaners. This station is filled with the wishes of various people from various eras. The history of Tokyo Station is the history of Japan itself.